is like otherwise, let's think this is as a blueprint, right? Blueprint. So when you want to construct a house, so when you go for a permission to construct a, looking for a permission to construct a building, so they look for a blueprint, right? So like how many bedrooms, the size, shape, how many stories, right? So multi-story means two floor or three floor. So basically it's a blueprint kind of a thing, right? So in that we have different methods, right? We'll understand one by one. So how it looks like and how it creates and how it will interact, right? So let's understand one by one. So first of all, let's understand how to create a class, right? So the syntax follows as here, class, so then a class name and the base classes if we have. We'll see one by one and you will have your statements, right? So it should start with a class and you can give any class name, right? New class, anything you can give. It depends upon what kind of a class you are going to create. I mean to say that what are all the methods inside the class. It relates to that one. Some meaningful name we usually give. All right. So after that, we will give some statements. We'll write some statements and we will see that what are all those statements. So here we are trying to understand how to create a class. Class name, right? Then colons. Let's see one by one. So say that I am going to create a class here, right? Class a person. Person will have a name, surname, age, many parameters you can say. Let's consider only name, surname, and age. All right. How to create a class? This is a class and class name. And here I'm just giving a pass. Basically, I don't want to give any statement. A simple class. I don't want to do anything as of now. Python will execute this, but there is no action here. It doesn't matter. It is not going to give you any error. It will just pass. Okay. A simple class creation. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to instantiate this person, this class into one of the object, say John Doe, right? So now whenever I want to refer a name, so how will I assign first? So let's say that John Doe dot name and I'm going to assign the name. John Doe dot surname, I'll assign the name. Similarly, year of birth, I will assign the year of birth, right? So now if I print a John Doe, it is a some kind of a object, right? So we'll see one by one. I'm going to check what is this John Doe. And if I want to print all these names and year of birth, how will I define? I will define saying that John Doe dot name, this guy, and surname, this guy, and year of birth, right? So this percentages will take the name, this percentages will take the surname, and this D will take the year of birth. This is a string and digits. All right. So this percentage again, it will join. Make sure that each percentage will occupy with the respective names. All right. So let's execute and understand one by one. So here we are doing a simple thing. So it's not the real class, I would say, not the complete class. So we'll see one by one, right? Let me execute this. So here main person object, right? So this print, it says that person object, and here I have printed a name, a surname, and was born in is coming over here, and this year of birth is taken over here, right? So it's a typical how we can print and things like that. Now we'll extend this class with some objects, all right? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create some object here. So this is called an object constructor, right? How I'm going to do that? So class person, just as we discussed above, and here I have a define underscore underscore init underscore underscore. There are two underscores, and there is a something called a self, and name, surname, year of birth, right? Name, surname, year of birth. So here the thing to understand is basically what is this init and self, right? Init and self. Then we'll come back to these points. So it is a special Python method that is automatically called after an object construction, right? Its purpose is to initialize every object state. The first argument, self, is automatically passed either and refers to the object itself, right? So you can interpret this way, say that you want to refer some names, right? You want to refer some names and you have to give some address, right? Like how do you refer any person, right? So you will refer with some, you will call that person with some reference, right? You have many friends, maybe you have same name friends, multiple friends, and whenever you call up a name, you have to refer, give some reference, right? So XYZ, ABC, some reference you will give, then you will call his name. So basically that's how you can interpret, right? So self, and these are the must enter, we have to enter this init and self in order to construct this object, right? So that is how the syntax is, and you have to mention this. You can change this name self, you can give different name, not a problem, but you have to have this. All right. So now let's see that how it is going to work. So when I say self, it will refer by itself for this object. Going forward, whenever I want to, print this name or a surname or year of birth, I don't need to call individually everything. What I can do, I can just refer this self, right? You will see that. I'll just refer this self. Then I can start printing this, any of this data, name or surname or year of birth or all of them. So just by referring this self, I can import all this data. And how it is going to happen, right? Let's see that. So init is just, you can say that initialization here, right? Initializing this reference. So how I'm going to assign the data here? Whenever I call a self, how these guys will come, right? Give me a second. I will take out this, sorry. Okay. So now let's see. So what I'm saying, self dot name, then I will assign this name. Self dot surname, I will assign the surname. Self dot year of birth, I will assign this year of birth. So when I do this assignment, what happens? This self is going to carry, wherever it goes, it will carry all these data. All right. So that is what is going to happen. All right. Let's see, and we'll build some more methods here and we'll understand how exactly this works. So here I'm going to do some assignment or initialization. All right. So this is not part of this discussion. Don't worry about this. It's this is not the right way, is what I'm trying to say. But anyway, this is not important. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about that. So basically, what we are trying to say, if I print this, it is going to, okay, let's execute this. Give me a second. I will execute this, and if I execute this, it is just directly giving this, right? But this is not the real way. So this is not going to help us. So we have some good methods to deal this kind of a data, right? We'll see one by one. So this is not the best practice, but that is what I'm trying to say here, right? So the best ways to deal this class. So let's see one by one. So what we have understood, how to create a class, how to do this object construction, and what is this init, is initialization, and the self is like a reference point, and I am assigning all this data to self.name, self.surname, self.year of birth, so that I am constructing this object, and I can, going forward, I can just use a self. Okay, that is what we discussed. And here, this is basically, we call it as a method. Outside this class, we call it as a function. Outside, we call it as a function, but whenever I define this function inside the class, I will refer this as a method, right? So otherwise, everything is same, just the naming convention is different. So what I'm saying in this method, define age, all right? Define age, and here I am doing a self. Sorry about that. Here I'm defining a age and I'm calling the self. So it means that as soon as I call this self, it is going to carry all these guys, right? Instead of calling all this individually. So we have a methods. So here I'm going to refer this self, and I have one more argument, that is current year, which is a new here, right? Which is a new thing. So we'll see that how we can pass the data here. All right, whenever we call the function, we used to send some data. Similarly, we are going to do here as well. Then I am using this current year. Then minus self, I refer again this, and I can call only year of birth, self.year of birth. You see how what is happening here? I'm referring the self, then I can calling this year of birth. All right. So this self will make sure that it has this data. I'm just referring it. So the idea in this method is to find the age. Find the age of a person. Right. So this is a method. And this one is basically to print the data. Right. If you don't want to print, it's not necessary to define this. So if you want to print the data, you can go ahead and define this string underscore underscore str underscore underscore and self. So whenever I say self, all these data are going to come over along with this self, right? So here I'm returning the name, a surname, and the year of birth, right? So this is how I will create a class. So you can have as many as methods here, right? So any number of methods you can have. Right, so now fine, we have created a class. How to use this, right? How to use this. Right now I don't have any data, I just have a names here, that's all. So how I'm going to pass the data, let's see. So this is our person class. Along with that person, I'm going to pass this data, real data, name, surname, and year of birth, and I will instantiate into one of the object called alec, right? So I will instantiate into alec, then I will print the alec, right? I will print the alec. So it is going to print the alec with this data. And later, that is one thing. The another thing is we still have this guy, age. Now I will refer this object alec, and I will call the function. In this case, it is a method, right? I'm calling this method. So here we have a new argument, current year. So for that, I am passing 2020. Right? For this argument, we already have a data here. Right? For the new argument, I'm passing a 2020, and the 2020 will be passed here, and the year of birth will be taken by this alec 1958, and we'll be able to get the age. All right. So let's execute. So as you can see, this alec, this printing alec is basically this guy, right? It is coming from here, and this 62 is coming from this guy. All right, I can change any number here. Accordingly, age will be displayed. All right, so that is how the class is going to work. How to instantiate, how to construct an object, how to define the methods, and how to instantiate, and how to print, and how to call the methods. Right, you have to have this alike object. All right, so that is the way that we usually follow, that in order to create a class and make use of methods. All right, yes, that's all in this video. Thank you for watching this video. Keep learning and thank you.